Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Bamenda Archbishop. Let's begin. In the heart of Amazonia, what should be ordinary roads have turned into nightmares. What outsiders might dismiss as potholes are in reality vast craters, treacherous trenches, and death traps hiding in plain sight. Every journey, no matter how short, has become a test of patience, courage, and resilience. Vehicles get stuck, break down, or are forced to avoid entire routes. Transport costs soar as drivers struggle to navigate these hazards. After every rainfall, roads vanish beneath pools of water, concealing their deadly depth. Motorcycles swerve dangerously, heavy trucks deepen the destruction, and entire communities find themselves isolated. The economic toll is staggering. Businesses lose revenue. Goods fail to reach markets, and emergency services crawl along, delayed and hindered by a failing infrastructure. This is not merely a matter of crumbling roads, it is a daily assault on safety, on livelihoods and dignity. For Amazonians, the question is no longer what to call these monstrous holes, but how much longer they will endure a system that has abandoned them. Roads are not a luxury, they are a lifeline. And in Amazonia, that lifeline is breaking. But with this, we head on to the prime headlines on Undaunted tonight. Tonight, we take a look at motorbike rider shot dead by gunmen in Bamenda. Also, tragic domestic incident in Bamenda. Tonight, also in Bamenda, Archbishop dismisses concerns about the anticipated papal visit. Also tonight, from potholes to death traps. La Republic of Cameroon's roads collapse into craters, threatening lives and livelihoods. And over to reports coming in from Africa. Kenya has been flooded and the flood has displaced many across Kenya. Also, on global scene, China deploys new Type 055 destroyers for first combat training exercises. And with this, we head on to the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. A commercial motorbike rider identified as Fabrice Toomey has been shot dead by unidentified gunmen in Mile 4 Bamenda in a late-night attack that has heightened security concerns in the area. The incident occurred at around 10 o'clock p.m., with residents reporting multiple gunshots at the time of the shooting. Witnesses also confirmed that rapid gunfire was heard in nearby areas, including Mile 3 in Queen and Foncho Junction, suggesting coordinated or simultaneously disturbances across parts of the city. The circumstances surrounding the killing remain unclear, and authorities have yet to provide details on the motive or identify those responsible. The attack adds to ongoing concerns about sporadic violence affecting civilians in Ambazonia. Fabrice Tumi, a native of Wat village in Nkambe, located in Dongamatong division, was described by neighbors as a hardworking and respectful individual who earned a living through commercial motorbike transport. His body has been deposited at a local mortuary as investigations are expected to continue into the circumstances of the killing. Now, this is a report we're getting right from the home front. Joining me on the show tonight is our legal practitioner, Barrister Mbeseha, who will bring in his thoughts and his reactions to this report tonight. Barrister Mbeseha, good to have you on the show. Good evening.
Thank you for having me, and good evening to all of you.
Very much. Residents reported just from this report gunfire, not just in Mile 4, but also in Mile 3 in Queen and Fonchan Junction. A civilian again, Barrister Mbeseha. What is your reaction to the killing of Fabrice Tumi in Bamenda? I mean, we get to see this situation and reports often all the time in Bamenda. What do you have to say about this?
Well, today is Queen. Today is Mile 4. Yesterday was in Queen. The day before was Bambui. The other day was in Kambe, the other one was in Mamfe. So the people being shot to death without any accountability has become the normal in Ambazonia. The central question we ask ourselves is, why are we getting through this? What does independence mean if we have independence? The independence means that we shall have unsafe streets. We shall have no hospital, we shall have no roads. Or what does it all mean? Even the colonial master has a responsibility for security of the people. And if they are not doing this, what must be accountable for this? And I heard you in your statement say that the authorities are still to make a statement. What are you calling authorities? What are the authorities you expect a statement from? Is it the governor? Is it the mayor? Is it the gendarmerie? Is it the bee? Is it the police? Is it the vigilante they have employed? We don't know. And because of all this multiplicity of security forces, there's absolutely no security. But the multiplicity indicates one thing, that the government, or whoever is ruling there, has lost control of the city, has lost control of the territory. If government can parade the streets, shoot people and kill at random, if gun people can parade the streets, kidnap women and rape them at will, if gun people can parade the streets, kidnap and steal money from people, then there's nothing called governance. Because governance is a form of control, a form of ability to take vigilance, a form of ability to hold people accountable. If this is absent, there is no government in place. Why? We must ask ourselves. Is it what Southern Cameroon signed up to in 1961? Generally not. And therefore, why are we here? We are here because somebody is pretending to rule over the people, but nobody is ruling over the people. Either it is completely out of control, they don't have control, or they are completely incompetent. Either way, they're not there. And so that's one of the reasons why we fight. We shall fight until those of us who will survive all these killings will take us to Boya and will address the issues where they may be. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Mbeseha. In your words, this is the reason why we fight. And then when you consistently see situations like this, I mean, affecting civilians all the time, in your words, it means governance needs, there are several questions we need to ask about the system of governance in Bamenda. But then right ahead, we'll be moving over to the second report we are having still in Bamenda, Barrister Mbeseha. A tragic domestic incident in Bamenda has left a young woman dead and her husband in police custody, authorities have confirmed. Patrick, who is a 29-year-old man, is currently being held at the Bamenda Judicial Police following a domestic dispute with his wife that turned really fatal. The incident reportedly occurred on Friday, March, under circumstances that investigators are still working to fully establish. According to a preliminary report, Patrick rushed his wife, Malika, to the Nkwen Baptist Hospital shortly after the altercation. However, medical personnel were unable to save her, and she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Witnesses say Patrick fled the hospital upon realizing his wife had died, leaving her body to be transferred to the mortuary. In a surprising turn, Patrick returned the following day and voluntarily surrendered himself to the police. During questioning, he reportedly disclosed that his late wife was pregnant, approximately 1 month and 3 weeks along, adding a further layer of tragedy to the incident. Both Patrick and Malika are native of Indinicom in Boyo Division, a community now grappling with the shock of the incident. Authorities say investigations are ongoing to determine the exact circumstances surrounding Malika's death and whether charges will be filed against Patrick. The case has sparked renewed concern over domestic violence in the region, with local observers calling for greater awareness and intervention to prevent similar tragedies. Wow, this is a deeply disturbing case out of Bamenda, Barrister Mbeseha. Domestic violence should have no place in our society. What stands out the most in this report about this incident is that Malika was pregnant. What's your reaction to this? And what message would you like to share with viewers, especially those who may be experiencing domestic challenges in silence? Now, to even know that he turned himself in because it's such a heartbreaking situation, Barrister Mbeseha. Let's hear from you.
Well, let me start from where we were in the last segment. We got independence to do a number of things ourselves. Transcend from there and get to getting married. People get married. What's the goal of getting married? Because you want to stay together. You get married because at first instance, at least to the public, you love yourselves. And therefore, if you love yourselves, man and woman, you live together. Does it mean that you will never have mistakes or you will not have you have things that will go wrong? Why then do you fight physically? Why can't you iron your differences together as human beings just in the first place? Then as human beings who have chosen to be together, as human beings who are getting married and perhaps delivering children and more children coming. Domestic violence has no place in our society. No matter where you're Ambazonian, whatever country you come from, domestic violence has no place in the family. If it is too much, if you can no longer bear it, walk away from the marriage. There's no crime in divorcing, be it a man or a woman, if the marriage becomes intolerable. So you don't need to put up your life. And the man in particular, in general terms, men are stronger than women. And if you are stronger by your feature, by your structure, by your physical build, if you are stronger than the other person, the punch you give can be fatal. Because the one punch can break the skull of somebody depending upon your strength. But all that means what? It goes down to one thing. The anger had overboiled to beyond control. And so why do you even get married? Why do you even live in society if your anger will be beyond control? It's not just about your wife or your husband. You have problems with your neighbors. You have problems with people who pass around you, who offend you. And then, of course, if you must fight, you go and fight and kill people, or someone kills you. That is unacceptable in Amazonia. It is unacceptable anywhere else in the world. Because again, as I said, the whole essence of marriage is to be happy. In addition to being happy, as a result of the happiness, you bring forth children. That takes 15 to 18 years to nurture them to adulthood. And so it is a lifetime project. So we feel sorry for that lady. This gentleman should be condemned. But I think he needs more than condemnation. Because something is wrong with him. Something is definitely wrong with him. If he doesn't go to prison, if he goes to prison, he will need to go to counseling. If you ever have another wife, I doubt even the other man will marry him. But the chances are that he will get another wife because there are so many women in the world. Some men don't care what happens. But if you were ever to get another wife, or never had another wife, if you were ever to be a neighbor to somebody, you should learn to control his temper. You should learn to regulate his own anger. Because life is precious. That lady is not coming back. Talk less of the baby she carried. Who knows what that lady could have become? The baby she carried, you don't know what that child would have been. Maybe the child would have become the president of the world, not just Amazonia. We don't know. You have killed the child, you have killed the mother. What do you get out of it? No benefit, the only thing you have as a result is you go to prison. In addition to suffering social condemnation that we're doing right here. Zero tolerance, zero anger, proper anger management is the solution to the problem. Over to you.
Yeah, I couldn't have agreed less, Barrister Mbeseha. I think something is absolutely wrong with him. And then the end product of this could either be prison or even more, as you have stated, he should go to a right place where he would need to really rethink his actions and get that sorted out, because domestic violence has no place in our society. And as you stated, many people who are silent, who are silently going through the same domestic violence, I think it's the right time for you to be able to move out. If you have to leave that marriage, I think it's necessary for you to have done that. Thank you very much, Barrister Mbeseha, for your thoughts and reactions towards that. We'll be moving over to this report based on the anticipated visit of our Pope. The Archbishop of the Bamenda Catholic Diocese, Andrew Nkia, has dismissed concerns that the anticipated papal visit to Bamenda could be affected by the city's ongoing road construction. Speaking to journalists, Archbishop Nkia emphasized that the visit of the Pope is a pastoral mission rather than an assessment of infrastructure. His remarks came amid growing public concern that unfinished road projects across the city might pose an embarrassment ahead of the high-profile visit. The Pope is not coming for infrastructural inspection, the Archbishop stated firmly. Where there is even one sheep, the pastor is obliged to go even into the home. He questioned the notion that papal visits should be limited to cities with fully developed infrastructure. So a pope is only visiting places and cities that have been fixed, he asked, underscoring the spiritual purpose of the visit. Concerns about the state of the roads had been heightened after colonial French Cameroonian Minister of Public Works paid a visit to Bamenda over the weekend. During his inspection, he reportedly urged contractors to accelerate ongoing projects and ensure that key roadworks are completed before the Pope's arrival. And despite these efforts, Archbishop Nkia reiterated that the essence of the visit remains unchanged. If the road ends like this, the Pope is not coming to see roads. He's coming here to see the sheep, he said, reaffirming the Church's focus on its faithful rather than physical infrastructure. Now we see that the expected papal visit has generated excitement among Catholics in the region, even as discussions continue around the city's preparedness to host such a significant religious event. Now, Barrister Mbeseha have been given reports as to the preparation of papal visit to the Pope. Now, the Archbishop right here has downplayed, in a sense, concerns over infrastructure ahead of the papal visit. What do you make of his position, especially given the ongoing war in Ambazonia and looking at the conditions of civilians in Bamenda? We've just given a lot of reports as regarding to the situations ongoing in Bamenda, cases of infrastructure and all of that. What's your position?
I think the Archbishop is right in what he says, perfectly right. The Pope does not come to inspect infrastructure. He has nothing to do with it. In fact, the Pope would rather want to ride on a bicycle from the airport to the cathedral. Because this other Pope, he has not lived in comfort all his life. He has been in the jungles where people are suffering. So the Pope is not coming to inspect infrastructure. But the government in place does that propaganda for themselves. The Pope is coming, the whole delegation of the Pope from the Vatican will not be up to 10 people, at the best 10 or 20. But Bamenda will be flooded by people from Yaoundé, ministers, directors, whoever you find. They will all come there. They are the ones who have limousines. They are the ones who have the best cars to drive on. And so the roads are not dealing with the Pope. The Bamenda politicians want to take advantage of that and do the propaganda. If they can force Yaoundé to at least clean the streets for the one day, for the few hours visit that the Pope will be there, that will benefit the population after that. But propaganda did not start with the government. Even the Archbishop Andrew, they were talking, it was made propaganda out of this. When they first announced the visit of the Pope, what did the Archbishop do? The Archbishop collected his Christians. They went to Buffalo Airport with brooms, and they were sweeping the airport with brooms. That is pure propaganda and politics. Even if they swept all the dirt away from there, the Pope was still 6 weeks away to coming. By the time he got there, they will be a place with dirty. Secondly, the airport where the Pope lands is not a cathedral. It's not the responsibility of the archdiocese or of the bishop. The airport, whether it is an airstrip, whatever thing you call it, is the responsibility of the government. And so they take propaganda into the thing nonsense, and they themselves are not denying it. But nobody can deny the fact that whatever thing is going on in Bamenda right now is because the Pope is coming. They want to sell an image of their own country. It's not only Bamenda. I remember seeing an event yesterday too, by the weekend in Yaoundé, where they are trying to make a road from Mbeseha through Cité Verte. And they are struggling, getting companies, kicking them out because the Pope is coming. That's one of the parts of the town that he will pass. And so they are doing that, they are borrowing money. In fact, they are borrowing money in the case of Yaoundé to go and do the road, contemplating that the Pope can pass there. They don't want, and they tell it, they are not even ashamed. They say it is the image of the country which they are trying to sell. They don't want a stranger to come. The Pope is coming alone, but he's coming with many other people to see and say, is this how Bamenda is? Wow. Is this how Yaoundé is? Or is this how Douala is? They'll go back with the bad impression. That's what they are trying to do. They're doing propaganda to sell their political agenda. The digging of roads, the cleaning of airports is responsibility of government. If they are not there, nobody else will be blamed by the government. And they are fighting, playing catch up to get them done. It is the propaganda they want to use. I remember still in Bamenda, I think yesterday, we saw the delegate, super mayor, or whatever thing you call him, pulling down all the small stores around town because they didn't conform with the standards. But these stores have been there forever and ever. Why is he pulling down these makeshift stores at the corner of the road? Because the Pope is coming. When the Pope comes and goes back, what will happen? Those things might likely return there. Because those things there they have attached to houses, brought containers and kept there. They were not part of their buildings. The city mayor allowed those things to stand there. Now they are playing catch up, as I said, trying to demolish them to do propaganda. The Pope, they call it, in terms of the church, it's a pastoral visit. It's a pastor of morality. He's not coming to inspect road infrastructure. The bishop is right. He's not coming to inspect our hospitals. He's right. He's not coming to do anything. He's coming to say something which is purely pastoral. No pastor has ever lived in the best town. Jesus Christ himself never even had a place to sleep. So the successor of Jesus Christ, or St. Peter, you'll not be looking for infrastructure. You're looking for the morale of society. And that's what the Pope is out to. When he comes to Cameroon and goes to Bamenda, he's not going to be inspecting Bamenda people how they are well dressed. He's not going to be seeing how beautiful the streets are. He's not going to know where the so-called barefoot airport, which I will now call it today International Airport, has become something so terrible, so good that even jets can land there from Japan, from England, from New York overnight. No, that's not the goal. If that were the goal, he would not need to come there. And so I think the bishop is right there. But again, they just take propaganda out of it, including the archbishop himself. They have made a lot of propaganda about the whole thing. And remember, over the weekend, somebody was interviewing him and asked him, does the Pope visit have to do anything with this reform crisis? And he said, no, man, you don't have anything to do with it. Then he went further to say, look, they asked, what happened with the election? He said, no, don't mind about that. Let Cameroonians take their responsibility. They have not asked the bishops and the church to do it. But they have always been doing it. It took me back. Before the elections, the presidential elections, the bishops said something. But that was not all. Before that presidential elections, Archbishop Andrew Nkia went to the presidency in daylight on video, and we saw him standing there. And he told Ngongo, the Secretary General, we shall accompany you, that is the government, before, during, and after the election. This was from his own mouth. And he was talking right there then, after Kamto had been so unjustly excluded from the election. That was before. He did nothing. During the elections, Chiroma won. They are chasing him all over. He said nothing. During the very elections, there was a lot of fraud. They realized it themselves. They sent observers. So where is the accompaniment before, during, and after? So if the church concentrated itself to its religious duties, that would be better. But trying to mingle politics with the religious duties that they have is sometimes very, very controversial. And so, if people are expecting something from the Pope, it is they who have given the impression that the church can do more. They are not expecting it from the Pope himself. If they say the Pope, they are talking about the church. They're expecting something from the church. And so, if the church in Cameroon, the Catholic Church anywhere else in the world, will limit itself to the role that they want to play, that's fine. They are supposed to play a social role in politics. But if they don't know how to do it, let them keep out of it. And then just let us do our thing. The Pope comes, we go and pray like any other one. No prayer there in the cathedral when you go. Nobody's prayer will be stronger than the other. Whether the bishop, the archbishop, the Pope, the Christian, or even the pagan. They all pray. God can listen to all of us. Over to you.
Leaders are now aligning to political propaganda. It makes us to question what's now the difference between religion and politics. How do we strike the balance? But then we'll move over right here to this report. The conversation about potholes in other countries almost feels like a luxury when you look at what's happening across the border in La République du Cameroon. These aren't potholes anymore, they are craters, trenches, and in some places full-blown death traps masquerading as roads. Call them sinkholes, call them elephant holes, whatever the name. The reality is the same. A road network that has collapsed into something barely unstable, unusable, and increasingly dangerous. In just the past few days, the situation has gone from bad to alarming. Vehicles are getting stuck, breaking down, or avoiding entire route altogether. Commercial drivers are forced to hike transport fares because of the damage to their vehicles and the extra time spent navigating these hazards. For ordinary people, what should be a short journey has become a stressful, expensive, and sometimes risky ordeal. Entire stretches of road have deteriorated to the point where they are impassable after rainfall. Water collects in these deep cavities, hiding through depth and turning them into traps for unsuspecting drivers and pedestrians. But the cycles weave dangerously in attempts to avoid them, while heavy-duty vehicles worsen the damage with every pass. The economic impact cannot be ignored either. Poor road conditions slow down the movement of goods and services, discourage investment, and isolate communities. Emergency services are delayed, businesses suffer losses, and daily life becomes a struggle. What we are witnessing is not just infrastructure decay, it is a breakdown that affects safety, livelihoods, and dignity. At this point, the question is no longer what to call these holes, but how long people will continue to endure a system that has clearly failed them. Roads are not a luxury, they are a basic necessity. And until serious attention is given to rebuilding and maintaining them, the situation will only get worse. Barrister Mbeseha, these roads are now being described as craters and death traps. What does this say about the level of infrastructure collapse? I mean, a road that was passable, that was roadworthy initially, but now you can see what's happening. What's your take on that?
They are not just being described as they are. Those are death traps. A reality, that's a fact. It's not an imagination. And maybe it's good for us to understand. It didn't take 6 months for road to become that thing. It didn't take just even a year. It's taken years, years of neglect for the road to deteriorate to that level. There are rare death traps, not even to talk about your personality. I watched a video yesterday in Yaoundé, in the middle of Yaoundé, where a vehicle was carrying people. It got sunk in the water. And somebody described it very funnily like a vehicle has committed suicide. And so these people were inside, ladies and gentlemen who were so well dressed, wherever they were going to, they cannot even continue anyway. The vehicle is not even coming out. So if you are lucky to survive, that is, you are very lucky. So there are death traps, especially in the rainy season, because you don't know the depth of the hole. You don't know what's inside. It could be broken bottles. And so that's why vehicles fall like that. But the bottom line you ask is this. This has deteriorated in the last 40 years. It means that there were roads before. There were better roads before then. At the very least, before independence. And it takes me back to where we started. What is independence? They will get independence to let what we call road at the time deteriorate to where they are today. They are no longer existent. They are not existent. And so, if that is what independence meant, or was meant for Cameroon, that is not what we expected in Ambazonia. Because before we purportedly joined these people, who had equipment pool that were divisional. There would have been an equipment pool in Bamenda, in Mafe, all the divisional headquarters, where they will get the caterpillars from there to maintain the roads. They will get the vehicles to fill the potholes. They call it PWD. What happened? They stole all those things from us, and they have not replaced them. And you find what you're finding in Bamenda, you're finding in Manfe, you're finding in Kuma, anywhere else in Ambazonia. No. They stole our equipment. We could not have been where we are today if we had remained Southern Cameroon. With our equipment pool, we call it the PWD, the Public Works Department. It's no longer there. They were talking about this very thing. But instead of vehicles, we're still talking about the accident in Bamenda, where 6 people died. And I said, we were so well equipped. We had the VIO, the Vehicle Inspection Officer, who was a whole department. We would tell the vehicles on the road. If your vehicle is not roadworthy, you will park there until it is repaired. And so that's what we were. That's what we're fighting for. We've gone from whatever thing, from poverty to hell. This should never have been. It should never be. We have to put an end to it. Those potholes will be history when we get to Boya. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Mbeseha. You just took our thoughts back to history, took our thoughts back to where this first began. I mean, there was so much ease going by the infrastructural development, but then since independence, so-called colonial French Cameroon, and that's what we are seeing. But then thank you very much for making us remember where we started and where we are headed. Indeed, the struggle is still sure, and we are definitely pushing this through. Thank you very much, Barrister Mbeseha, for joining us tonight. This is where we'll let you go, and so we'll head over to the remaining news, the rest of the news.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So with this, we head on to the rest of the news. Welcome back. Moving over to reports coming in from Africa and African scene. Torrential rains have triggered deadly flash floods across Kenya, leaving at least 81 people dead and thousands displaced as authorities warn of worsening conditions. In Kisumu County, entire villages have been submerged, with approximately 1,200 hectares of farmland destroyed and crops swept away, threatening livelihoods and food supply. The worst affected area is Yakaj, where more than 3,000 families have been forced to flee after the Sonju Miriu River overflowed. Emergency response efforts are underway, with multiple evacuation centers set up to shelter displaced residents. The urgent needs for food, clean water, and medical aid persist. Ongoing heavy rainfall continues to heighten the risks of further flooding and damage across affected regions. Authorities say infrastructure has also been severely affected, with roads rendered impassable and bridges damaged, showing and slowing rescue and relief operations. Schools in several flood-hit areas have been temporarily closed, disrupting education as families seek safety. Health officials have raised concerns over the potential outbreak of waterborne diseases due to contaminated water sources and overcrowded conditions in evacuation centers. Efforts are being made to provide clean drinking water and sanitation facilities to prevent further health risks. The government and humanitarian agencies are also mobilizing resources to support affected communities, including food distribution and emergency supplies. However, access to some remote areas remains difficult due to rising levels and damaged transport routes. Meteorologically, agencies continue to warn of sustained rainfall in the coming days, increasing fears that the death toll could rise and more communities could be displaced if conditions do not improve. Now with this, we head over to news across the globe. The People's Liberation Army Navy has deployed two of its newest Type 055 class destroyers, Gunmen and Undaunted, for their first known combat training exercises, marking a significant step in the operational integration of its latest naval assets. The deployment followed the commissioning of the Type 055 destroyer Xiangyang in April 2023, with Gunmen and Undaunted confirmed as the 9th and 10th ships in the class to enter active service. Built as part of a second production batch, the vessels are believed to incorporate a range of technical and combat system improvement over earlier ships. Both destroyers are assigned to Eastern Theater Command Navy, also known as the East Sea Fleet, which oversees maritime operations in the strategically sensitive East China Sea. The command plays a key role in monitoring and countering regional naval activity, particularly involving the United States and Japan. The exercises are seen as part of broader efforts by China to enhance combat readiness and demonstrate the growing capabilities of its surface fleet. The Type 055 destroyers, among the largest and most advanced in the world, are designed for multi-role operations, including air defense, anti-ship warfare, and long-range strike missions. The Eastern Theater Command Navy also holds a central role in any potential contingency involving the Taiwan Strait, underscoring the strategic importance of deploying newly upgraded warships to the region for advanced training and operational preparedness. And with that, we come to the end of Undaunted. But before we go, a recap of our major headlines. Tonight, we took a look at motorbike rider shot dead by gunmen in Bamenda. Also tonight, tragic domestic incident in Bamenda. Also tonight, we took a look at Bamenda's Archbishop dismisses concerns about the anticipated papal visit. Also tonight, from potholes to death traps, the Republic of Cameroon's roads collapse into craters, threatening lives and livelihoods in an African scene which saw flash floods kill 81 and displace thousands across Kenya. And the rest of the news across the globe, China deploys new Type 055 destroyers for first combat training. And with that, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight, bringing into the news Untold Story. On behalf of all the newsroom crew, we say thank you for joining. Good night and God bless.